Hey, what's up? It's Frank here from Data Driven, the podcast where we explore the emerging fields of data science, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. So the title of this data point is, did AI just take away someone's job? Well, yes and no. So here's an example. It's a rather quantum answer, isn't it, right? It's both yes and no at the same time. See what I did there? So this is actually in regards to the voiceover artist that we used to have on the show, but for both Data Driven and Impact Quantum. But I just recorded something today for Impact Quantum, so this isn't just a cheap kind of product placement for the other show. This is a serious thing. So if we go and we listen to this.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Impact Quantum. This episode is titled Freaking Qubits. How do they work?
So basically, that is an AI generated voice that we've been using probably since the 3-year anniversary. Prior to that, we used a voiceover artist I found on Fiverr called Shifty Pop. Awesome work that she does. And her turnaround's pretty quick too. But she also doesn't do voiceover work anymore. She just does singing kind of stuff, which is still cool. So definitely check her out and tell her Data Driven sent you. But the key here is that we would love to be in a position where budget-wise we could have a voiceover artist custom do this. But it just was never practical, right? Like for every show. However, with the AI, I can create a custom intro for every show and eventually a custom outro at the end too. You see, we've done that. We're on Data Driven a few times, and every episode of Impact Quantum has been that. Now, part of that is just, practical, right? So I can type up what I need to type, have the voiceover artist say, tweak the voice settings or whatever, although we have kind of a setting we like. I'd hit generate, and I have a WAV file right away, or MP3 actually is what it generates right away, right? So I have that instantaneous feedback, right? So there's the time, and it doesn't cost me anything extra to do that. I spent $30 or something on some web-based platform, so it can actually pull in voice generation capabilities from Google, Amazon, as well as Azure's. So I have all that ability, kind of to pick the voices, pick the accents. I can even do a child's voice, a man's voice. And obviously a lady's voice. I can do that. I can do that right away. I paid for it basically one time, and I can get that. So in a sense, I was actually having a discussion with my manager. Actually, he says, "Wow, you've put somebody out of work." And yes and no. So I hired the voiceover artist 3 years ago. 3.5 years ago. And I paid her, I think it was ended up being $50 or so. So for less than the cost of re-engaging her to do a voiceover, I now can create custom voiceovers with different voices, different accents, different gender. I can do all sorts, different ages. I could do all sorts of things there. Whereas before, I guess I could go through Fiverr and find that selection, but I can't do it on demand. And in case you haven't figured this out by now, a lot of what Andy and I do is ad hoc. We do preparation, but not to the degree that I think we present that we do. So I think that what this gives us the agility and the cost point. So in a sense, yes, did I replace a human being with an AI generated voice? Yes, I did. But I wouldn't say that I put her out of work, because I wasn't going to engage her anyway, because at $30 to $50 or more per engagement, I wasn't going to do it anyway, right? So this gets into that real question: have I replaced a person? And the answer is yes and no. In the strictest sense, yes. But honestly, I really wasn't going to engage her for at least another year to do another voiceover. The podcast isn't well monetized right now. Speaking of monetizing, you can check out this cool shirt I'm wearing if you're watching the video. It's the Data Graffiti shirt. Just search for it on Amazon, Data Graffiti. It looks an awful lot like the Obey stickers you may have seen up and down the East Coast, and I think I've seen it in London a few times. Once you see it, it'll trigger your memory. Also, we are looking for sponsors. So if you want to sponsor the show, hit me up. But so in a sense, AI has opened up an opportunity for us that was really kind of closed before. And I'm sure there's a fancy economic word